Welcome to Faith, Purpose, and Freedom. This is the home for everyone. It doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, where you've been lost at. You all belong here. I am your host, Kayla Roth. Today, I have the honor of having Tonya Lehman with me. She is a speaker and coach, and she is going to share some of her wisdom with us today, encourage us, and just guide us through some of those steps of feeling more introverted. And I think we all have a little bit of that in us in certain situations. So, welcome, Tonya. I'm so excited to have you with us.
Thank you, Kayla. It's great to be here.
So, do you want to share with us just a little more about what exactly you do in your speaking and coaching and how you help clients go from introverted and letting their voice be heard?
Yes, absolutely. Years ago, my husband started a new job, and the manager invited everyone over to his house for a barbecue. So I went along to the work party at the manager's house, and my husband is instantly absorbed into conversations because he's known as the new guy. Nobody knows me, and I just smile, look around, and so I go over to the buffet table and I get my plate of food and I get my Diet Coke and I have a pleasant smile on my face and no one talks to me. So I go over to a group of people and it's like they close their shoulders and keep me out. Okay. So
Um,
I'm feeling very awkward. I'm feeling out of place. And so you know what I do, Kayla?
What'd you do?
I go to the guest bathroom and I stay there. I'm in the guest bathroom. I eat my food. I finish my Diet Coke. I wipe down the bathroom counter. Anything to keep from having to go out to that awkward,
Right.
uncomfortable party. I even read every ingredient on the hand lotion bottle. Finally, I can't stay in the guest bathroom any longer. And when I go out, I see a woman who has come to the party since I hid, and she's just like me, all alone. No one is talking to her. So I go over to her and we cling to each other as if we're in a lifeboat together. And,
Right.
Kayla, I actually enjoyed having the conversation with her the rest of the evening. And it was after that I realized I am quiet, but that doesn't mean I have nothing to say. There's nothing wrong with me being quiet. An introvert, there's nothing wrong with an introvert. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to pretend to be an extrovert. But I did know that I'm going to have to make some changes to be able to show up in public situations such as this. And so
Mhm.
I went on a journey to figure out trial and error, doing research, reading books, talking to people. How is it that I can go into a room where I know nobody and be able to thrive for at
Yeah.
least a little bit amount of time? And so I've gotten to the point where I can walk into an unfamiliar place. I can sit down next to someone I don't know and have a pleasant conversation. I want to be able to share what I've learned with other people. And so I have training programs for the skills and confidence to speak up. I go to conferences and I speak on from silence to strength, how to speak up and make a difference.
Right.
And I have coaching.
I love this. So, first off, I want to say I am so sorry you were put in that situation. And I it hurts my heart. Obviously, I'm a talker. I just am. We go into the store and my husband's like, "Can we go anywhere without you talking to somebody?" and it's true. That's just who I am. But I wasn't always that way because I once was just that person that was silenced. I was just always made to feel like I was too much for people. So I would down myself to make other people feel comfortable.
Ah,
And through lots of work on myself internally, I learned that I refuse to be her. And I respect so much, though, every personality. We all have a different personality. Like, it is part of life. But that's how we all work together, because there are times I've learned that I do need to be silent. There
Interesting.
are moments that it's acceptable for me to be silent because, for instance, I serve at a funeral home just because grief is huge for me and I love to help people in that time. Now, can you imagine if I went into the funeral home, my bubbly self,
Mm-hmm.
just, oh, that would be so those are those moments where I have to be silent and I have to let people come to me. And you know what? They may lay their whole load on me in that moment, and I have to be silent and allow them because they need that moment.
Oh, how do you accept that grief and not have it drown you?
I'll be honest, there were moments it did.
Mm,
There were moments when I first started serving in there. A few years ago, my son lost his best friend in a tragic accident. And I watched how a group of teenagers grieved, and I watched them put smiles on all of us adults' faces. There were moments I cried because I was just like, thank you, God. I just kept praying for their strength through it, and they had it. And so that's what brought me into helping in the funeral home and just serving just as a place to serve.
mhm,
Um, and there were moments at first that I would tell my husband, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't know if I can do this. I can feel everybody's emotions. And I really had to get to a level of distinguishing, is this their emotion or is this my emotion?
mm, mhm,
And so I would always get in the car on my way home and I would blare worship music. And that's what I still do. I only go up and serve here and there anymore, but it's something I'll probably do for the rest of my life just because I have a servant's heart.
mhm,
Um, and I just blare worship music, and I always remember, the worst thing you can say to someone in their time of grief is they're in a better place. I cannot handle those words. I said that. I said that to my son. And my son turned around and snapped on me. Of course, at that moment in my life, I wasn't a minister. I didn't understand completely. And I was just saying what people had always said to me. And that's what we do. And he looked at me and he's like, well, he was just fine right here with me. And I was like, oh, snap. And I realized, don't ever say that. But what I do know is oftentimes we forget that they're within a cloud of witnesses cheering us on. And although their physical body isn't walking next to us, their spirit is.
mm,
And I don't believe they're as far off. And it has helped me just pray over the family. And I go in the room when I serve and I just pray in the room before anybody shows up. And I pray over the family and I'm talking to God the whole time. And
okay.
that's just what's kind of helped me. But I also know in those moments, if I have anything to say, to talk to God in my head and not talk out of my mouth,
Mm,
to respect them. And so that's definitely, yeah, I don't know. It's just huge for me to know when it's time to be silent and when it's time to speak. And coaching is like that, right?
right,
Mm.
right. So you wouldn't have known not to say they're in a better place unless someone had coached you on that. And the same thing is with introverts. Introverts are often told, oh, you need to talk more. Okay, uh-uh. No, we do not need to become blurty extroverts. Extroverts tend to think out loud, whereas introverts think internally. I think in charts and lists. I have to write things down and and chart things out, whereas introverts tend to verbalize as they're thinking things through.
Oh,
So my introverts wouldn't know that it's wrong to be told you just need to talk more unless they have some coaching and some training and or been to one of my workshops. It's part of learning to accept people as they are, but training for introverts how to speak up when it's important.
Right. And that's so good. And I'll be honest, that's a great workshop for extroverts too, because what you said, this is totally who I used to be. I just thought out loud and everything came out of my mouth, every thought. And before I became a minister, my every thought probably wasn't the greatest thoughts. And it came out. And so my mom used to have a theory. She would just be like, I'm so sorry, she has no filter. That's literally what she would say. And it was so true. And I'm embarrassed to say that today, but I'm thankful that I've grown to know because that's so
Mm-hmm.
true. How do we distinguish when it's a time to stay silent and when it is a time to speak up?
So introverts would say, oh, well, silent. That's the knee jerk response. If uh, there's a situation right now where, let's see what I can say. I agreed to something speaking wise, and now they're changing everything. And it's very easy just to say, okay, I'll do the new thing, even though it's not what I agreed to. Okay. No, if I was being coached by myself, I would say, I do need to speak up. I do need to uh, get my ideas heard, my values understood, and my needs met for this situation. I am not a flexible doormat that can be changed in a way that you did not agree to. That was not in the original agreement. So it's actually coming to fruition exactly what you're talking about.
And what hurts my heart is how often do introverts feel like a flexible doormat? I love that you put it that way. It hurts my
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, think about work meetings, whether it's on Zoom or sitting around the table. The one who's running the meeting will ask a question, and the person who raises their hand or blurts out, that's the one that's going to get all the attention. Meetings are designed for the extroverts. And the introvert is actually thinking, well, I would have answered the question differently. And they are designing their email. They're composing the email that they're going to send after the event, after the meeting is over. But when an introvert is not speaking up in the meeting, then they are not being seen as someone with something important to say, something of value to be contributed. And often they're passed up for leadership opportunities or even promotions or raises because they're not seen as someone who's contributing, even if they are behind the scenes. So I work with leaders who want to be able to give everyone a voice so that everyone at the table drives results for the company. So it's a win for everyone. But I was at a business, not really networking, but we'll call it a networking event. And I tell a man that I'm working with introverts and how they can speak up and get their ideas heard, values understood, and needs met and contribute to the workplace. And he said, oh, you just need to tell your introverts to be like me. Always say the first thing that comes to your mind. Always say the answer. Always raise your hand. Always volunteer. And I just thought, no, I want to protect my introverts. And afterwards, I was thinking, what an unfortunate person to work with if you are a quiet professional. Hmm. Hmm. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. We all have an inner critic. Some people call it imposter syndrome, but that's a little bit different than having that nagging voice saying, no, you don't need to contribute. You don't need to say that. You don't need to participate. It's criticizing ahead of time what you're saying. So, one of the very first things I work with my introverts to is to move your mouth, to say it, to speak it. As soon as a thought pops into your head, say it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't think, oh, nobody really wants to hear that. So, the way that we get to that point to be able to move your mouth is to practice in a safe environment. We work together at coming up with answers off the top of our heads and saying them out loud. And actually, we play some games that do that very well and help us train to speak off the top of our heads, to move your mouth. I wonder if you are interested in playing a little game. Okay, so I have well, let's do two. I have two words in my head, and they're completely unrelated words. And I'm going to describe the word and try to get you to say what it is. It's kind of like that. I think it's Heads Up, where you teens do this, where they have the word and you have to describe and get them to say the word. Okay, so I have my two words. They're completely unrelated, and then we'll take turns, and you can do it for me. You ready, Kayla? Okay, my first word is something that you blow up at parties. And it pops sometimes, but mostly you just use it for decorations. Yes, balloons. Very good. And the second word is a color. And when you are embarrassed, your face gets. Yes, there you go. Those are my two words, balloon and red. So, how that works for introverts is I had to just keep talking about balloons at parties without saying balloons at parties. They blow up, they pop. Sometimes use them for decorations. Just keep describing balloon until you get it. Instead of thinking, well, maybe I should talk about different types of balloon. You just speak. All right? You want to try it for me? Do you have two words you can? Okay. A cup. Ah, good. A hot tub or a jacuzzi? Okay. Oh, underneath the sun. Sun? So cup. Yes, yes. There's lots of ways that you can do that. And it just helps everyone to move their mouth and instead of second guessing and letting their inner critic take over. Mhm. Yes, yes. So it does need to be one person and one person. And then you can take turns around the circle around the room. But otherwise, it's too easy for an introvert to just say, I know the answer, but I'm not going to say the answer. Hmm. Yes. In my high school, there were three of us named Tonya, and we all spelled it differently. But anyway, we were the same Tonya, same classes. And whenever the teacher would call on Tanya, well, I learned that I just kept my head down and one of the other Tanyas would answer. I never had to answer a question because the other Tanyas would speak up first. And yes, but now that I'm aware, now that you're aware, we can draw out those quiet people, not by putting them on the spot, but by encouraging them to contribute, to speak. When no one was talking to me, no one would. Well, first of all, if I was hosting that party, I would never ever let that happen. I would never let somebody be off on their own. I That was irresponsible party hosting. Very irresponsible. I just I'm still yes, I never would let that happen. So even today, when I go into a room of people I don't notice, I don't try to break into a conversation first. That's no longer my first try. If the host hasn't talked to me and introduced me to somebody, then I'll wait out at the side and I'll kind of get a read for the room. What group of people seem to be the type of people I would be comfortable talking with? Is there somebody who's standing just off by themselves? That's actually the person I'd go to first because we are probably very similar. don't know about that. I think we all have our areas of expertise. Hmm. Ah, I see what you're saying. Ah, yeah, yeah. No. Mm, hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's good advice. Hmm. Oh, wow. Mm, hmm. I think for teenagers, it's just a tough time. If you, if you, if your core group of friends are mean, then it's hard to say it, but you need new friends. And you'll go through a period of loneliness before you find them. It's just a hard area. It's a hard age. There's so much self criticism and status ranking. You know, if I put you down, then I'm above you. If I talk about someone else bad, then I'm now in the higher ranking. It's very much about status, and there are people, teenagers, young people who don't play those games, and you just have to find them and nurture those relationships. Help your children to nurture relationships with good people. Make opportunities for them to hang out with you at your home so that they are comfortable in the family situation and also with your child in their own grounds and with their own brothers and sisters and their things around them to help make them feel a little bit safe. It's just hard. Excellent. Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Part of what I work with introverts is conversations. If you were to ask me, how was my weekend? I could say, oh, it's fine. How was your weekend? And I didn't tell you a single thing about me. I just deflected it back to you. But introverts, we do need to learn that conversation is like a friendly game of tennis. Okay, the conversation ball goes back and forth. And I call that maintain the balance. I bet you can think of somebody who, when they come over, you're all, ugh, they're going to do all the talking. They're just going to monologue and they won't have a little any care about what I'm saying. Do you know anybody like that who just monologues? Yes. So for introverts, it's easy to just deflect, but we do need to have a conversation and have the conversation ball goes back and forth. Sometimes it's easy to distract also. If you asked me how my weekend was, I would say, oh, it was fine. Hey, did you get your hair done? It looks really good. Okay, I've distracted you. Now you're going to talk about your hair. And I still haven't told you about my weekend, even if it was an interesting weekend. And how do you learn to do this? How do you learn to maintain the balance in conversations? Well, we practice in a safe environment. We practice passing the conversation ball back and forth. Mhm, mhm. Well, thank you. I appreciate those your compliment there. Another area that introverts have a hard time with is prepared presentations. It could just be a toast at a wedding, or it could be making a phone call to follow up on an insurance claim, or it could be maybe accepting an award or presenting a new idea to coworkers or to family members. That is very difficult for many people. Even extroverts sometimes struggle with presenting their ideas. Many people are afraid of teenagers. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes. Oh, you're so right. Yes, absolutely, Kayla. We often think that what people are focusing on us more than they really are, because often people are just thinking about what they're going to say next or what they are going to do next or whatever, things like that. So I teach the power of three. When you're presenting an idea, 3 reasons. Even if it's something like, oh, well, where should we go for dinner? We should go to a steakhouse. I never get to have a well cooked steak. I'd love to have some time alone with you, husband. And they always serve so much that we get leftovers to bring home. And so that's why you should take me to a steakhouse. So go on. It gives it more validity. And also, 3 reasons is pretty much the most that anyone can remember. So do you have some advice for me? Someplace I should go? Maybe it's to the grocery store because we need milk. There's a sale on eggs, and I want chocolate chip ice cream, and that's why we should go to the grocery store. Or maybe it's you should go to Alaska because the salmon is fresh and the people are interesting and it's a whole different world, and that's why you should go to Alaska. Can you give me some advice with 3 points what I should do, where I should go? Well, so you should go to Oak Island or Oak, what is it called? Oak Island because you can have a private beach to yourself and a house just for the whole family. Great idea with the 2-year-old. And then what was the third thing? Yeah, that sounds like wonderful reasons to get together. And I hope that everyone actually can go because sometimes we have busy lives and things get in the way. But especially for the 2-month old, that will be ideal. Oh, yeah. Are you going to do a big group family photo too? Mhm. Well, we need people behind the camera too. Mhm. Oh. Mm, mhm, oh, yes. Mm, mhm. Especially if it's a gathering with a lot of different ages, don't ignore the seniors, okay? Sometimes the older people, they get sit on the couch in the corner and everyone else just walks by them. Sit on the couch next to great grandma, great aunt, great uncle. Just sit next to them or talk to them, ask them about their childhood. And for the teenagers who are sitting around all on their phone, that's not that's not a physical wall. Go sit next to the teenagers. Ask them questions. Well, what's your favorite social media? What is it that attracts your attention? And then let them show you TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. Their farm. What is it when the things drop down the fruit bale or something? Ah, uh-huh. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Oh, yes. Drop and walk away. Hmm. Mm. Mm. Yes. Yes, you will. Mm. Hmm. Ugh. Yeah. Mm. And a lot of them did it without air conditioning. Yeah, I can't imagine raising my kids without air conditioning. Oh, I have a catchphrase that I say at the end of every social media video, every YouTube video. You are valuable. You can speak up. Absolutely, Kayla. So my social media is Speak Up with Tonya. I'm Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. LinkedIn is Tonya Lehman. And if you would like to talk about coaching or bring me to your organization to speak or do a workshop, the website is tonyatalks.com.